Number 10. Dusty Mobley. If you get in trouble with the law, sometimes it's best to cut your losses and turn yourself in. Instead of surrendering though, one man from Florida decided he should cut his lawn while running from the authorities. 40-year-old Dusty Mobley had already evaded law enforcement for weeks by July 2022. He had multiple warrants out for his arrest, and he'd already run away from one arrest attempt by jumping into a swamp and disappearing. But for his next escape, he decided to use a lawnmower. Motorized lawnmowers can be pretty fun if you're a middle-aged dad trying to make his lawn look nice. The thing is, they aren't very fast. While Dusty was stepping on the gas pedal as hard as he could, it didn't take long for police officers to catch up and finally put him in cuffs. It must have been a pretty funny scene to witness. Dusty had on a straw hat and a red shirt like a farmer, and he was hunched over the mower's steering wheel as if leaning forward would make him go any faster. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Police did have to taser the criminal before they could take him downtown, and Dusty's mugshot perfectly sums up the look of regret. His eyes are empty and slightly looking in different directions, like he's contemplating all of his life choices. In the end, a gun, meth, and even a key to unlock handcuffs were confiscated from the man, suggesting that he definitely expected to run into cops sooner or later. The charges against Dusty include theft, resisting an officer, drug possession, and more. So it looks like Mower Man is finally going to face the music. Number 9. ALGAE. When your adrenaline is high and your heart's pumping, it can be pretty difficult to think straight. That's probably why so many people make poor choices during arrests. In 2018, a man in Cape Coral, Florida was running from police officers and would have likely only received a speeding ticket, but the fact that he tried to escape sounded alarm bells in the cops' ears. They chased after him until he suddenly leaped into a giant pool, a move he'd quickly regret making. The water was a murky green color and had large splotches of algae floating along the surface. We can only imagine what was underneath, but still, the man jumped straight in. Instantly, he sprang out of the water and started calling out for help. By this point, the original police officers had called for backup, so law enforcement surrounded the area. They helped pull the suspect out of the algae after putting some gloves on. Then, they hosed him off with some clean water to get all the gunk off him. Apparently, after ingesting some of the dirty water, the man got sick and had to be treated at the hospital. If only he'd cooperated with the cops from the beginning, he likely would have gotten off easy. But no, people love to make things difficult for themselves, especially those who break the law. Number 8. Samantha Glass. With body cams being more common among police officers, a large number of arrests gone wrong have been featured online. The cameras serve as protection for both cops and civilians in case something doesn't go well during an interaction. In August 2019, a woman was injured in Phoenix, Arizona after being approached by several officers. 36-year-old Samantha Glass was reported after several witnesses saw her try to break into her ex's truck. Earlier that same day, she'd gotten into an argument with the man, which apparently didn't end well. When police first approached Glass, she was sitting with her back against the wall outside the door of her ex-husband's apartment. They then started a casual conversation with the woman to try and figure out what was happening. Then, Officer Christopher Robinson asked some more intense questions about the truck. Glass responded, a bit irritated, saying that she didn't know anything about it. At this point, the body cam footage showed the man trying to arrest Glass, but she struggled. Robinson managed to slam the woman into the cement though, face first. Blood quickly pooled from her forehead, but luckily she was still alive. It was discovered that Glass was under the influence of alcohol at the time. Later on, police revealed that the truck in question wasn't burglarized at all. Since then, Glass has filed a lawsuit against Robinson with claims that he violated her rights and used excessive force during their interaction. Glass did resist the arrest, but she used no force or violence. She only attempted to walk away from the officers. Number 7. Rachel Clay. In August 2018, an Oklahoma woman named Rachel Clay was taken into custody for reported erratic behavior. The arresting officers put her in handcuffs before leaving her in a patrol vehicle, but they made a mistake by not watching her every move. Somehow, Rachel managed to wiggle her hands free from the handcuffs, and this allowed her to grab an AR-15 that was in the cop car. With the gun in hand, she started shooting at the officers. About 10 rounds went off as a camera in the squad vehicle captured everything on video. The suspect fires out the backseat window and hits 2 people outside. The rifle was supposed to be safe behind a metal partition, but without her cuffs, Rachel was able to reach through and access it. Within a few short minutes, she loaded the firearm, turned off the safety, and let loose. An officer's head was grazed while an innocent civilian was actually struck by a stray bullet. Thankfully, neither injuries were too serious, and the victims quickly recovered. Rachel, on the other hand, engaged in a 6-hour fight against police while she guarded herself inside the patrol car. After some time, she gave in and was finally taken to jail. Her initial charge seemed like nothing compared to the 3 added-on counts of shooting with intent to kill. Later on, she was given a drug test which confirmed everyone's suspicions. Rachel had taken meth shortly before the violent exchange. Number 6. Thomas Martin. If you've realized anything from the past few stories, it's most likely that criminals aren't that smart. At least these ones aren't. In May 2016, a Fitchburg, Massachusetts man named Thomas Martin finally came face to face with police after being on the run for 3 years for cocaine distribution charges. On a Wednesday, officers knocked on the door of the home they believed Thomas had been staying at. It was obvious that someone was inside, but no one was answering the door. But the cops decided to stick around in case anyone eventually came out. That's when they noticed the man they were after trying to climb out of a window on the property's second floor. He managed to get onto a nearby porch, but the officers were able to just walk up and apprehend him. In a desperate escape attempt, Thomas jumped off the porch, but he held onto the railing with one hand. He likely got scared at the height and wanted to pull himself back up, but a policeman grabbed onto his sweats. He eventually fell and was put into handcuffs. We have no idea how someone this stupid spent 3 years on the run. It must have been some serious dumb luck. How do you think Thomas avoided law enforcement for so long? Let us know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and join the Bad Badger fam. Number 5. Matthew Santacruz. At around 8:30 p.m. one night in April 2023, 23-year-old Matthew Santacruz led police officers on a chase down Highway 198 in California. Apparently, the young man was wanted for several violent infractions. When he noticed the cops, he quickly hopped on a bike and pedaled away as fast as he could. A patrol helicopter was used to help find him, and as it turned out, Matthew was trying to hide by the center median of the highway. The chopper sent down orders telling him to stop running and turn himself in, but Matthew instead decided to get back on the bicycle and head down the busy road. You can probably guess how this turned out. They say you shouldn't take a knife to a gunfight, and honestly, you shouldn't take a bike down a fast-moving highway meant for cars. Unsurprisingly, the man was hit at some point during the chase. Luckily, the people in the vehicle who ran into the suspect weren't injured, but Matthew certainly was. He had to be taken to the Kauai Health Medical Center for treatment. But this case is relatively new, so there isn't much information on the specifics of Matthew's charges. So we'll just have to wait and see how things play out. Number 4. Delta pilot. Police officers and FBI agents are all humans, and as everyone knows, humans make mistakes because no one's perfect. That being said, law enforcement agencies should do everything in their power to avoid messing up because their mistakes could potentially have dire consequences. In April 2023, Boston FBI agents were going through a routine training exercise with personnel from the Army. They say they were given the wrong information though about which hotel room and person they were supposed to detain for their training. And apparently, agents broke into a Delta airline pilot's hotel room and took him into custody. They mistook him for a hired actor and put him in cuffs before making him wait in the shower. Over the next 45 minutes, the officers interrogated their target, but after countless questions, they realized the huge mistake that they'd made. Immediately after, they let him go and profusely apologized for the misunderstanding. The agents even called an ambulance to take a look at the pilot, but the man refused medical aid. After the incident, the FBI released a statement discussing the mishap. They said that safety is always a priority of the FBI and our law enforcement partners, and we take these incidents very seriously. As of April 6th, the pilot still hadn't released a statement about the phony arrest, but we wouldn't be surprised if he decided to file a lawsuit. That must have been a very scary and upsetting experience after all. Imagine if you were just hanging out in your hotel room and all of a sudden FBI agents swarmed in to interrogate you. Number 3. FBI. While we're on the subject of the FBI, in March 2023, a Texas man was arrested for impersonating a federal agent. A lot of times, people dress up as cops or police officers for Halloween. And while there's nothing wrong with that, the problem comes up when they start telling others that they're an actual law enforcement officer. And that's exactly what the man from our next story did. He allegedly told people that he was an FBI agent from Louisiana. When actual police officers finally caught him, they found multiple IDs from several individuals on his person. The suspect's car also didn't match up with the vehicle's VIN number, suggesting something shady was going on. Not much information about the fake federal agent has been released since the case is pretty new, but it's been revealed that 3 felony charges are being brought against the imposter, including attempted escape. If we had to guess, the guy probably just watched a few too many episodes of NCIS or Law & Order. And sometimes, people just need a reality check. Number 2. Slippery. Police officers meet a lot of interesting people. It's just part of the job. But on April 7, 2023, cops from the Volusia County Sheriff's Office in DeBary, Florida, arrested someone they'd never forget. The unnamed suspect was wanted for allegedly breaking into 2 houses. It was also obvious that he'd taken some kind of drug since he was acting like he was on a whole different planet. When the officers approached him to ask about the robbery, he quickly took all his clothes off right in front of them. He then proceeded to pour oil all over his body before running and jumping into a nearby pool. One of the policemen was heard on the body cam footage from this incident asking what was on the man, but he didn't respond. After getting wet in the pool, the lunatic tried to avoid the officers by getting onto a trampoline. With water and oil all over him, the cops had trouble grabbing onto the guy. It took some time, but eventually they got him into cuffs. It's unclear what drug the suspect took, or what his punishment will be at this time though, since this case is ongoing. Number 1. Christopher Gaddis. In February 2023, 41-year-old Christopher Gaddis was about to be arrested by Nashville police officers for refusing to cooperate with them. He also apparently had 2 warrants out for his arrest, but when the cops got closer to Christopher, he picked up a cat. He held the little kitty tightly and yelled at the officers. They tried to get him to quiet down a bit since they were at an apartment complex and didn't want to disturb other residents, but their attempts failed. As the cops came up to him, Christopher practically threw the cat into an officer's face. The sudden movement caused the cat to react, scratching and clawing at the man. Luckily though, the escape attempt with the cat didn't work. Christopher was successfully arrested, and the cop who was injured by the kitty was treated at the hospital. On top of his other existing charges, the suspect was also taken to jail for assaulting an officer and trying to resist arrest. And just in case you were curious, the cat in question is safe and sound and was placed in the care of animal control. Thanks for watching today's video. Which of these arrests do you think was the craziest? Let us know in the comments down below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel to see more. We'll see you next time on Bad Badger. Bye!